Thank you. Welcome to another episode of moneystream.com.au. My name's John, and today we have the presence again of Jim Penman, founder and CEO of Jim's Group, with 4,200 franchisees here in Australia, New Zealand, and Canada. Welcome, Jim.
Yeah, welcome. We're near 4,300 now. We've had a good year.
I've got a correction on my part. I beg your pardon. Jim, again.
Well, it was 4,200. It's going up by.
We'll have to get that meter like they have in those shows. It just keeps growing. I'll have to put one of those together.
Well, I hope so.
Well done.
We've done well out of COVID, actually, but it's actually the employment market is actually tightened up again, and we're still growing. So it's
phenomenal.
Great. We've got so much work,
which gives merit. It adds merit to what you're doing. So again, thanks very much, Jim. Today we're talking about marketing strategies according to Jim. Again, founder, CEO of the Jim's Group with 4,300 franchisees in Australia, New Zealand, and Canada. Jim, what's your secret marketing strategy with your advice on starting a small business in terms of marketing?
Well, the crucial thing is really customer service. If you give great customer service, you'll get repeat jobs, referrals, all kinds of things, upsells, the lot. That's the foundation. We know from statistics that franchisees who give great service are far more likely to continue. Sorry, just took my phone off. Far more likely to continue and also to report good income. So that's the beginning. Now, as the marketing itself is concerned, a lot of it's on the internet these days. One thing anybody should do is put an entry for Google My Business, which gives you priorities. If someone looks up antennas in Dandenong or whatever, then they come up. And there's a way of doing that. You can contact them and you can get a rating and so forth attached to it. So that's pretty important. Things like Facebook work quite well. You can promote yourself on Facebook. You can be quite specific with Facebook about where people are, which is handy. And of course, there's Google AdWords too. So you actually put your search engines in and you pay for them. Now you can do it yourself. It's not that difficult, or you can find somebody else to do it for you. Just be aware of the overheads. The stuff that used to work in the old days, which is your local papers and yellow pages, is really not much value these days.
Yeah, a little bit outdated. Yeah. No, that's fine. Yeah. So again, with your brand, of course, as you've mentioned in those bits and pieces that you've discussed, there's all sorts of things, and with today's technology, of course, and Google, et cetera, and the digital nomads, and these mobile phones, of course, it's all tap Google, et cetera, and up comes the business. So I guess delivering excellent customer service is paramount.
We find it very, very easy to find work these days. I've just done the figures, and we're just a shade under 1 in jobs in 3 on service last year. It's really a problem. 220,000 leads not back, something of that nature. It's just huge. So we find it very easy to find work, but obviously that's not the case when you're starting up. One thing I should recommend to anybody, we have a system where we actually, in effect, sell off our surplus leads. And we're actually developing a program which is that you can use for running your system. We haven't quite worked out the name yet, something like Bizzer or something perhaps, where you can actually use this program to run your business and do accounts and all kinds of different things, but you can also use it as a way of getting leads in. And you can even sell your surplus leads. If you've got too much work, you can sell them back into the system. And there's a rating system involved. So this is something that's just being launched, which is going quite well. So about 70% of our unserviced leads now are not unserviced anymore. We actually pass them to contractors, and then we get ratings. And if they don't do well enough, we knock them out. But that's going quite well.
Excellent. So when you say contractors, Jim, is that within the Jim's Group or third parties?
No, outside. Of course, our guys get priority. There's no question of that.
Yes.
But we're actually selling quite high number of leads to independents. It's just based on a system where they pay us so much per lead. The first 3 are free if they needed to give us their credit card details, and then after that they pay an amount, usually about $20 per lead. But they're the only person that's quoting on it. So
Excellent.
for somebody who's a good operator who looks after clients well, it works very well. If they don't bring the clients back or do a good job, we cut them off so they don't get any more work. But some people actually are getting a lot of business out of this, and that's working effectively, because it's not like High Pages where you're going with competing against 4 other people, and it's the cheapest price. With us, they only get you. So it's a good system. I think it'll do a lot more in the time to come.
Yeah, and through your keeping records and so forth, that's proving to be fruitful not only for the contractors but also for the Jim's brand, with more and more clients being unserviced. So that's proof in the pudding. Oh,
we watch it very carefully. Every day I go through all the low ranked surveys, every single one where there's a comment, and I look at what's going on. And sometimes you upgrade them because they're making a mistake in what they put in. But if there's a problem, put it down as a complaint, as something to chase up. And franchisees who get too many of the wrong kinds of results can face pretty severe sanctions, up to and including termination. So we're pretty tough.
Yeah. No, well, again, that goes back, adding value and trust. Yeah, obviously clients, they'll refer word of mouth, etc., as you say, and it's all part of your marketing and customer service. If we give, if I give good customer service to someone, I'd like them to refer someone. If I give terrible, I'd like feedback so I can, improve my strategy for next time. Yeah. Lovely.
Well, so you might get it. Most likely, they won't tell you anything. They'll just not use you again. They'll tell you they don't want to use you.
Yeah, silence is loud, they say. Yeah, that's okay. So growing the leads generation, as you've mentioned, you've got 1 in 3 leads unserviced, and you're trialing a new strategy. So growing your leads by word of mouth, say promo services, for a new franchisee to trial promo services to new clients. Can you elaborate on that, if you favour that, if you have a system to promote that? Say a client of Jim's Mowing starting off, he's got quite a few jobs and he's looking to grow it. What sort of promo services would you advise them, to partake in, if any?
Well, the system we use for Jim's is called pay for work guarantee. So we set a minimum income, which is usually between about $1,000 and $1,500 per week, or up to $2,000 actually, depending on what they want.
Wow.
If their income falls below that on average over the month, then they can actually do free services and be paid for those services, usually up to about $80. So they can do a free dog wash or a free lawn mower or a free house cleaner or whatever, and we pay them. Now we do that partly as a way of propping up their income, but more than that, it's actually by doing the service once. If you do a good job, which they usually do, then they get more work. So they get regular clients and referrals and all kinds of things. So I would say that to any independent, if you want to go out there, just start offering free services to everybody you know, friends, family, relatives, local shopkeepers, property managers, anybody at all, and just go and do your stuff for free. And if you're good at what you do, you will build your business very fast. We find that nobody who does this actually needs to do it for more than a couple of months at the most, and after that they get so much work. Mind you, of course, we're still giving them leads all the time, so it's a bit different, but it's possible to get off the ground. Actually, it really is, and we know people who've done it. It's just easier with us. The problem with the service industry is that if you're very good at what you do, once you're established, it's actually incredibly easy to make good money and to have a secure life. The difficulty is getting started. And that's why a system like ours works okay. If you look at there's an American association called the Cleaning Services Janitorial Association. I've got the website somewhere. If you have a look at that, their estimation is that of 100 cleaning businesses that start, independent cleaning businesses, 95 are gone within a year. With us, the failure rate's about 10 to 11%, but that's because it's a franchise and you get the extra support. But people still do start from nothing and they still do succeed.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. It's astounding. Yours is 10 to 15%, so the proof's in the pudding again. It adds merit to your...
Well, no, sorry, 10 to 11%, not 15%. If we lost 15%, we'd be pretty upset.
Yeah, no,
that would be really bad. It needs to be that bad.
Yeah, But and the $1,500 say a week guaranteed, that's phenomenal. I mean, as you said, and then you know, you can add on services, and then with the clients, of course, you add value, you build trust, then there's building the relationship, and your business gets off and running, et cetera, et cetera. You got a neighbour over there.
Most people never claim it, Emilio.
Yeah,
I actually send an email to every franchisee after their first month. And I
yeah,
specifically ask them about that, because if they need to go out there and get busy and do it. But the great majority just write back and say, no, I haven't needed to. The income's good.
yeah, yeah,
No, but that's not a very good income. I mean, if you think about it, to be in business for yourself, you really should be turning over a couple of thousand a week.
yeah,
Because when you take out your costs and so forth, you know, that's equivalent to a sort of an average Australian income of maybe 75 grand a year. So it's not excessive.
yeah.
If you're making $1,000 a week, well, it's hard to know how you. It's almost like being on the dole. So that's a very minimum amount when you allow for your business costs.
Yeah. And from the angle of, say, starting fresh, you know, someone just starting a business name with Small Business Victoria and going out and having nothing, I think they're miles ahead already. Of course, yeah. And eagerness plays a big role. You know, the perception that you put out to the clients, you know, being hungry to help them, being passionate. I guess that's all part of the deal. And again, credit to you. You started so many years ago where you actually love what you do. I've heard you say you just love, you know, you love what you do. And you know, that's crucial. Yeah, yeah,
I enjoy gardening too. I like mowing lawns. It was my student job, and
yeah,
I started very basic. I started working at $1.50 an hour back in 1970, so I was kind of built from there. But it's just, to me, it was a way of getting out at the weekends, getting some exercise, because I didn't want to study all the time, and so it's a good break, and
yeah.
it pays quite well.
I think it. Yeah,
I bought my first house when I was at university just by mowing lawns.
it's incredible. Yeah, yeah. It's phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. So wearing a uniform for ID, again, to add value and trust to the client, be it a, you know, an existing client or a new client or a prospective client, the neighbour, the cousin, the family member. Wearing a uniform, how important, how crucial is it, not only to identify someone, but also, you know, walking around doing your job, you know, that adds merit to the brand. How important is that?
We've got a very poor line here. I don't know if it's working from my end, but your voice sort of pauses and goes scratchy at times, Amelia. I don't know
I
what
apologise.
your be like. Uniforms are very important. One routine question I asked during franchisee training in my first session. Yeah. One question I asked, and I always ask the ladies in the audience, I said, if you had a choice between two contractors very similar in, you know, presentation and looks and manner and so forth, one's wearing uniform and one isn't, but the one wearing uniform is 10% more expensive, who would you choose? About 99% would choose to pay extra. So just putting a uniform shirt on probably adds about 15% to what you can charge. And obviously stickers are very important too. And you must have business cards with you, because that way, everywhere you go, you're a walking advertisement. And you know, if you're going to go shopping, for example, on a Saturday, don't drive your wife's car or your husband's car or whatever it is. Drive the work vehicle with the signs on it, and wear a uniform, even when you're not working, because everywhere you go, people will ask you for cards and so forth. Now, again, it is particularly the case with us because our brand is strong, but any brand is vastly better than nothing. And it's amazed how people don't do such simple things. You can actually get your vehicle wrapped these days, which is a technology we didn't used to have early on. So you can wrap the entire vehicle with really good design signage. Now, it might cost you a couple of $1,000s, but that's a very, very good investment in getting into business. You can't start a business with nothing. Well, actually, you can, but not full time. It's not going to be so likely to work. You've got to be prepared to put some money into things of that nature.
Yeah, and as you said, everywhere you go, shopping, et cetera, it's basically a mobile billboard. Is what you're doing, and with your uniform, yeah, it speaks for itself, I guess. Yeah, you know, people will come up to you and say, "Look, do you mow lawns, or do you do roofing, or do you do that?" Yes, I do, and away you go.
It's obvious when you sign what you actually do, but yeah. Hey, look, there's a young bloke in my church, Paul, who's got a business going from scratch, and I've been advising him over the past few years. He just comes up and asks me, and so I say, no, do this, do that, and so forth. And yeah, that works like that. You can do it. It's just a little bit tough. That's in the beginning, but it's a great being a business for yourself. It's just so much fun. It's really so good.
Yeah, no, very, very interesting. So again, on a car, a van, a trailer, whatever is the modes of transport. As you said, there's wrapping, there's signage, etc. Plays a crucial role, I guess, in any business, and promoting yourself, to people out there. Because let's face it, in today's world, also with the gig economy, etc. Every lead counts, and not only a lead, but you want to be able to grow the lead generation, month by month, year by year. So very, very important aspects there in small business. The last question I'd like to ask you, Jim, is, so from a business perspective, you've got a business starting, it's proving successful in the business 3, 6, 9, 12 months, 18 months, however it may be. And then the small business operator finds that, the business is growing exponentially, income, etc. And they're finding that, they need to do something to either hire someone extra, part-time, casual, etc. In your expert opinion, your advice on, say, hiring an extra person, 2, 3, however the business structure is based on the leads, not only to service the clients, but again, everything we've covered here, excellent customer service, etc. What would be your advice to the franchisee, say, hiring someone for one of their franchises?
Be prepared to try a few different people. You will not find the right person straight off, or if you do, you're incredibly lucky. Just keep on trying people until you find somebody who's good. Most workers won't work out for you. But the thing of it is, what we recommend to our people is they aim for a rate of about around $60 an hour. Now, once you're making that, to hire somebody for 20 or 25 bucks an hour makes sense, especially if your travel is limited and your jobs are big. And the key then is also to go in, and when you go and do a job like a lawn mowing, you don't just mow the lawns, you offer to do the gardens and rubbish in gardens and so forth. If you're cleaning a house, you want to wash the windows and clean the oven and put their laundry through and whatever else they want done. So you add extra services, you get more value from one client, which makes you more valuable to the client. In that case, when you've got that kind of business, you can profitably employ people. But it's not easy. And you have to learn to be a good boss. That's all. And you've got to look after people and, give them maybe some cash bonuses and buy them lunch and this kind of nature. But it's possible. We've got that many people in gyms who started off stall operators and, they're multi-millionaires now. And that's how they did it.
Yeah, definitely. I've seen some of your videos too, Jim. Again, full credit to you, where some of the franchisees, even new franchisees, they've brought past franchisees that might have retired and just want to work a day or two a week. And, we're talking past franchisees of the gyms group who loved it, but they've retired. And even someone joining a new business with finding someone who said it's not easy and it's not going to be the first one, someone with experience already. I mean, that's going to add value to the current franchisee's business anyway, because the person they're hiring was doing that prior to anyway, and they have the knowledge.
I haven't heard that happening a lot. Have you heard this is going on?
I watched it. Well, I when I did some of my research, I saw one of the franchisees. They were looking to expand because their business is growing so rapidly. Obviously, they were following your business acumen, your marketing strategy, and it was working. So they hired someone that had a gym's franchise who'd retired, but only now wanted to work a day or two a week. Yeah. So I found that
could work. I've never heard of that one.
Yeah.
I haven't seen all these videos myself. I do so many. Yeah, sure. Why not? We also have a thing in gyms called a retirement franchise, which means to say that if a person's got to 10 years and they only want to work a couple of days a week because they're getting a bit, long in the tooth, then they actually, we sort of get half fees and so forth. So we have ways of doing that. The other thing we do is, look, there's a lot of ways of coping with it. You can yeah, just keep going part-time and so forth. We don't like to lose people if we possibly can avoid it. The other thing you can do too is do different kinds of jobs. So for example, somebody who finds mowing lawns a bit too physically demanding, we might say, well, what about doing gutter clearing as a speciality, which is actually very lucrative and it's not quite as tough. I mean, you can make yourself, you're mowing lawns for a living, you maybe make $400 or $500 a day typically. Cleaning gardens, you can't make $1,000. There's something peculiar about you. And there's great machines that can do it at a distance, so that sort of thing. Sometimes they become franchisors too. They actually use their experience to look after other franchisees. That's also a kind of retirement option. We've got, our first ever franchisor is in his, must be nearly 80 now, and he's still going, and he's still mentoring franchisees. So that's another option.
Yeah, that's incredible. Yeah, and that's the thing. You can't that sort of experience is extraordinary. Again, like yourself, giving your time, and you've mentioned in other discussions that you're available by email, on the phone, etc. I find that is incredible that you make yourself available. What a wealth of knowledge. People just have such great opportunities to tap into and learn from. With the immigrants coming into the country, where I find a lot of them, well, you can bump into them in the street. They're struggling, or they might be doing a couple of pizza deliveries on their little Vespers or whatever. Even students. An immigrant coming into the country from anywhere around the world, not currently because of COVID restrictions and so forth, but in the future, coming into the country, no job prospects. They could be an engineer from another country, they could be a nurse, etc. They're not qualified by Australian standards, whatever, or they want a career change. If they look at buying any business, but in this case, a Jim's franchise business, as an immigrant and also having a visa, does that actually complement, when you take the visa, they're here for 2 years or 4 years and they're looking to buy a business? Not only are you able to help them finance the business, but would that help them with their visa arrangements, say from being here as a non-resident to actually wanting to be a resident? So from the business point of view,
we've got a lot of people who are on student visas and so forth. I don't know whether it helps them to get permanent residence, but because there is a restriction on how many hours a week you can work. Not that anybody can tell when you're in your own business.
Yeah.
But certainly provides an income while people are here. A lot of people have come in who don't have permanent residence, and I think most of them get it in the end. But certainly, the main thing is to have an income, because you've got to be able to live, and then you can afford to pay you. But there are good migration consultants around. I could recommend a lady that we use for these kinds of purposes. We also sponsor people directly for work. For example, we've got a guy who's just sponsoring our IT department as a software developer.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, again, as you said, you've got an income. Well, that's great, because if someone's interested, say, to buy a Jim's franchise, you can recommend them to a migration agent, and then you may be able to assist and refer them to someone that can borrow the money. Yeah, it's extraordinary. Yeah, it's extraordinary. So again, so very interesting, Jim. That wraps up our.
Usually we don't have problems. Yeah. I was going to say, usually we don't have a problem with finance these days, because with so much work around, we can find someone to provide finance. As long as the person's got a few $1,000s, we can usually fund them into a franchise.
Yeah. What an opportunity. So for people out there, immigrants, not even residents, etc., finding it hard under COVID, delivering pizzas or being a courier service casual, and finding it tough. What an opportunity, not only to start your own business, or people looking to get into a Jim's franchise. Jim's mentioned that he's available on the email, and also if you hop onto the jims.net, which I'll put all the links again in the description box here on the video. And Jim makes himself available. I can vouch for that for at least 15 years now. Every time I ask Jim something, he's made himself available. Incredible person. I just thank you so much, Jim. And again, for anyone out there looking to start a business, consider Jim, get in contact with him, and trial it, see how you go. the worst you can do is you got
Yeah,
a
I'm
job.
happy to talk to anybody. Jim at Tim's.net.
Yeah, I'll put all the links.
Tim's.net. Just email me. I'll put you on.
Yeah, and I think I've even still got your mobile number, Jim, from way back. But I tend to talk to you on Zoom.
Don't give that out.
No. No.
Only my franchisees can have that. I know.
No mobile number. But yeah, thanks very much, Jim, for joining us. We'll hopefully see you on the next episode. And for our subscribers and listeners, if you like the content, like, share, add your comments, and don't forget to subscribe. My name's John from moneystream.com.au. We'll see you on the next episode. Thanks, and bye for now.